first question says identify the vertex and then tell whether it's a minimum or a maximum. So first of all, you should be able to look at that and tell me what it is, min or max. It's a max, mountain high. So it's a max, so we can immediately eliminate A and B. And then what are the coordinates? What's the x coordinate? Do I go left or right? X tells you to go left or right, so it's 0, 8. All right, so the answer is B. Number 2, find the equation of the axis of symmetry and the coordinates of the vertex. So you should know that the axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of the vertex. All right? So you want to graph it in your calculator. Graph it in your calculator. So turn your calculator on. Press the y equals p. Clear out whatever's already there. Right? And graph it. So 3x squared minus 4x minus 3. And hit graph. And if the graph isn't showing up, just press the zoom button and press 6 and it should show up. Alright? So now, if you're looking at this graph, you can see that the vertex is going to be, when you look at the vertex, alright, it's down here somewhere. So we know that the x-coordinate is going to be a positive number, but the y-coordinate is going to be what? Negative, because you're going right and then down. So that helps us to eliminate a lot because we know that the axis of symmetry is also going to be a positive number. So we know that this can't be the correct answer because this 0.7 is negative. All right? We know this can't be the correct answer. So now we have to choose between A and D. Well, which one of these could only logically be the correct coordinates of the vertex? Because we know points down here are positive and negative. So which is the only one that meets that criteria? Look at the coordinates of the vertex. Because these ordered pairs, that's the vertex. Look at that. That's a positive and a positive. This is a positive and a negative. So which one has to be the correct answer? No, it can't be D. Because if it was D, it would have to be up here in the first quadrant. Okay, but you can also use the calculator, do second calc or second trace, and follow the steps and find the coordinates of the vertex. And it would give you exactly that. So you would press second trace, and then it's going to be a minimum because it's open upward. So we press 3, and then you'd have to find the left boundary and the right boundary.
If you're not putting this in your calculator, you're not going to do those wrong. Yeah. You have got to pick up your calculator and post it.
I thought we already did our performance.
This is about a Unit 3B test, okay? So, like, it gives me the vertex. It's 0.6666 repeating, which is 0.7, and y equals negative 4.3. So if you don't pick up your calculator and do this with us, you're not doing what it takes to be, if you plan to be successful tomorrow. If you're just listening and watching, then you've chosen not to. You're not going to learn.
It's not going to happen for you.
Okay? Number 3, solve. Okay? So, to solve, just write a note here. That means to find the x-intercepts. Alright, so we've been talking about that for a long time. Roots, x-intercepts, solutions, zeros all mean the same thing. So, clear out the old equation. Type in the new. X squared minus 4x plus 2. And graph it. Now when you graph it, you can see that both the y-intercepts are over here. So are those on the positive side of the x-axis or the negative side, or both? They're both on the positive side. Look guys, here's my y-axis, here's my x-axis. Here are my intercepts. So they're both going to be positive numbers. Do you agree? Does that make sense? And so if you look at the answer choices, that means I can eliminate which ones? Which ones can I eliminate? Why? Because those are negative. What else? Why? It's got a negative. What else? Why? Because it's got a negative number. I don't even have to know what they are. Now, if the answer choices on your actual test were a little closer, like if I gave you two that had positive numbers, like if another choice was 3.4 comma 0.6, then you'd have to do a little more work to distinguish which one is which, okay? Well, actually, that would be the same thing. That wouldn't even be different. It would have to be different numbers. Okay, let's look at number 4. Same thing, graph it. So number 4, we're looking for solutions. Just use X or M, and I want you guys to tell me what the answer is. So you're going to graph it. So we're going to do X squared. Don't try to find the M. Minus 8X plus 12. And graph it. Can we eliminate anything very easily based on the signs? What signs are our solutions going to have? When you graph it, look at where the graph is crossing the x-axis. Is it hitting positive numbers or negative numbers? Positive. Did y'all graph it? Okay. So you can just, without even counting, you can see that both of those numbers are positive because they're on the right-hand side of the y-axis. And so I can eliminate some of these already. Which two can I eliminate? C and D. Does everyone see why I eliminated those? They're not -6 and -2. That would have to be on the other side of the y-axis. It can't be -1 and -12 for the same reason. So now my only choices are A and B. So now I can actually count and see what the answers are. So where are those two intersection points? Yeah, at 2 and 6. Who needs help seeing that? Who needs me to come and show that to them on their calculator? All right. So you have it graphed. Okay. So can you see that that's 1, 2, and that's 3, 4, 5, 6? Again, go to the answer. Well, tracing, if you trace it, tracing is not precise. The only way you can be precise is to use the second trace. So let's do it that way, okay? So we're going to go second trace, and then we're going to find a 0, 2, all right? So we're just being more precise. So then we have to find the left boundary. So you're going to push the right arrow or the left arrow until you stop right above that first point. All right, let's move on. Number 5, it says graph and label the vertex. So graph it. So press Y equals, clear out what you already have, pick up your calculator. 2x squared minus 12x plus 12, graph. Now, based on your graph, you should be able to eliminate some stuff. What can we eliminate? Definitely B. Definitely B. It's too far over. All right, so now you can, where's the vertex? Look at your graphic calculator. Can you just kind of count and see where the vertex is? Looks like it's at 3, -6. Okay, so which one is that? Okay, because this is 3, -6. Powerful tool. Powerful tool. For people who've been taking it seriously since we've been working.
Literally all the answers are either A's or B's.
Oh, wow, what a coincidence. Okay, moving along. Number 6. What function models the graph below? So, first of all, what's the vertex of this? And you could graph all these, but some of them are kind of close. All right, so let's use some logic and eliminate some stuff. What is my vertex? What are the coordinates? We're counting by 2s here, so be careful. This is what? Negative what? Negative 5, negative 4. Okay? Does everybody see that? Now, here is what you have to remember. When you're moving in and out of vertex form, what do you have to remember to do? Yes. Okay? So when you're moving in and out of the parentheses, the signs of the numbers switch. Okay? So if you're putting it, so in order for this to end up being negative, it would have to start off being what? Positive. So the only one it could be is A. So A and B were close. It couldn't be C or D because they're switched. All right, this would give us negative 4 and negative 5 for the vertex. This would give us 4, 5 for the vertex. That's not right. This one's close, but it's not right. It's A. Because when you take 5 out of the parentheses, like Chauncey said, it becomes negative 5, and then the 4 stays the same. Inside, opposite, outside, the same. Inside the parentheses, you do the opposite. Whatever's outside stays the same. Questions about that? So you could also graph them, but it might be a little tricky. You just have to count carefully to tell if it's to distinguish between A and B, because those were, I mean A and C, because those were close. All right. Solve by graphing the related function. So remember, solve means the same thing as finding the intercepts, but we can't graph this yet. What's wrong with this?
Number 6A.
Was number 6A, students? Yes. Thank you. Okay, would I have to make sure this equals what for number 7? Yes, so I have to get rid of the 2. Now I can graph it and figure out, is it going to be open upward or down? Yeah, up, down? I think it's going to be open upward because A is positive. So I can already eliminate 1. What can I eliminate? A, okay? Now, you can technically tell what the vertex here is going to be. This is like x minus 0 squared minus 4. Okay, but we'll still graph it. So x squared minus 4. So this one has the correct vertex. The vertex is going to be at what number on the y-axis? Yeah, negative 4. You can count it right off your graph. If you just count down, it's down 4. So which one of these is down 4? C. The vertex is wrong. Wrong. Okay. Are you graphing? Make sure you're graphing along with me, right, Julian? You're graphing with us, right? I just want to make sure you're graphing. You're not in trouble. I just want to make sure you're graphing. We finally got a C, huh? Alright, let's look at number 8. For which discriminant is the graph possible? So you have to remember that poster's over there. If the discriminant is greater than 0, you have 2 real roots. That means you hit the x-axis twice. Right? If x is less than 0, you have no real roots. So how many times do you cross the axis if you have no roots? You don't, guys. It doesn't cross the x-axis. And then if the discriminant is equal to 0, that means you have 1 real root. So you only touch the x-axis. Right? So what case would this be? Greater than 0, less than 0, or equal to 0? Yeah, because we don't cross the x-axis, right? So that means we have no real roots, so it has to be some number less than 0. So would that be A, B, or C? Yeah. Okay. Does everyone have that? Cindy, you got it? Yeah. All right, number 9.
Oh, wait, we're
Okay.
going to number 8. I didn't get to see that thing.
A. All right. Okay. Yes. Okay. So the reason it's A is because the discriminant, so the discriminant is B squared minus 4AC. So if B squared minus 4AC is greater than 0, less than 0, or equal to 0. That's what we're looking at. So here, B squared minus 4AC was equal to negative 9, which is less than 0 because it's negative. Does that make sense? Thank you. I left that part out, so that was a good question that you asked. Okay? You got a question? No, this is an example. So if you find the discriminant, okay, and they're just saying, if the discriminant is, well, let me back up. If you have this case right here, this means that there's no real solutions. Do you agree? Because it doesn't cross the x-axis, okay? Which means, therefore, that whatever the discriminant was, it had to be less than 0, which means it was negative. So when I say the discriminant, I'm speaking of the B squared minus 4AC. So I had to come back and look at my 3 choices. This was equal to 4, which was a positive number. That's not it. This was equal to 0. This is equal to negative 9, which is a negative number, which is less than 0. So this is the case I need. Yes. Sure. That's a great question. How would it look if it only touches the x-axis once? Let me. Yeah. So here's an example. We'll do that. Bam. Or we could do this. Yes, sir. Does that help? Yes, sir. Yeah. So if it's 2, then I have to like slide this down, and then it would hit it twice. So like this. That's 2. Okay. All right. So like the ones that we've already done that had solutions. All right. So number 9, it says convert to vertex form. Identify the vertex in the graph. So to convert to vertex form, you need to put it in this form right here. So y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So what's a? What's a right here? Is it 1? B equals 4 and C equals negative 7. So I know what the A is, but I need H and K. What do H and K represent? We just did one in this form. Okay, so you probably couldn't hear Celia, but she said that H and K are the X and Y coordinates of the vertex. That whole inside, opposite, outside the same thing that we did. So you could do this a couple of ways. You could calculate the vertex using the calculator, second trace. So you could just graph that and then use second trace and find the minimum. Or you could use algebra and you could find the axis of symmetry first, which would be x equals the opposite of b over 2 times a. So it would be the opposite of 4 divided by 2 times 1, which is negative 2. and then I could plug that in. So already I know that the axis of symmetry is at -2. Can I eliminate anything? Yeah, I can eliminate this because this is at -4. So I can eliminate A. So now I need to figure out what is the y coordinate. I mean, guys, you could graph this to probably figure out the rest.
Yeah, you just put it in
Yeah.
your calculator and hit graph and compare the graphs,
Yeah.
pretty much there.
So I'm going to graph, I'm just going to type in x squared plus 4x minus 7 and graph it. So I can see clearly that it's not D. Alright, do you guys agree that it's not D? Alright, so now it's between C and B. Well, I don't think it's at B because what is that, -7? And this is down more than 7. Alright. So it's cut off a little bit. But I think we can agree that it's C. Alright. I mean, do you feel comfortable saying with C, guys? Does everybody agree that it's C just by looking at the calculator? Alright. But when in doubt, use the second trace. Okay, did you get that too? Did you get C? Alright. When in doubt, you can calculate the vertex. Right?
I didn't get it.
Who? Who's me? Okay, so
Your calculator, hit graph and compare the graph that comes up on your calculator to the graph on the paper. Period. The graph that was being compared. Graph.
you had to graph it and look at it while we were doing it. Okay, so let's look at number 10. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to type this in. We have x squared plus 5x minus 6. Now this says factored form, and we didn't really talk about that phrase, but again, we're working with our calculator, using our calculator, we're looking for our intercepts. Okay, it gives us our x-intercepts. So which ones can we eliminate? I can eliminate 2 very easily. A, D, and C, right? They're not, because what I'm doing is I'm looking, where's my vertex? Right? My vertex is in the 3rd quadrant. This vertex is in the 2nd quadrant. This one's in the 4th quadrant. That one's in the 1st quadrant. We're just using a lot of common sense. Right? Alright, almost done. Which of the following is a graph? Again. Type it in just like that. Use parentheses. Make sure you use the negative sign. Make sure you come to the bottom of the calculator keyboard and use the negative sign up front. Which way is this parabola going to be opening? Up or down? It's going to be opening down because of the negative sign in front of it, right? Whoever said that, make sure you write a note to yourself. It's okay. Just write a note to yourself. Right? So, gosh, we can eliminate a lot. I can immediately eliminate D and D because they're open upward. And then it's just questioning, is it A or C? It's got to be C. Okay, did you graph it? Did you graph it? Okay, well just stop where you are and pick up with where we are. No, you need to stop. You need to stay with us. Okay, well, I'm about to go to the next one. I'm going to number 12. So pick up with where we are. All right, and then you can go back and pick that up. Okay. So now we're working backwards. So this would be a case where you can just type these equations in. Now you can use some logic, for example. Does anybody remember what these numbers represent? The C? What part? There's a special point on the parabola that they represent. The y-intercept. Okay? So the note here, C equals the y-intercept. Right, so that tells us a lot right there. We should know what the answer is already. If C is the y-intercept, look at the picture. What's the y-intercept? Y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Guys, where's the graph crossing the y-axis? Thank you, -8. So that's the y-intercept, which is your C. So which one has a y-intercept or C value of -8? A. But you can still be exact and perfect plus wrap it. Okay, because that's what it says. Wrap it and find the one that matches. Any questions about that? Any questions about that? Does everybody see that? Does it make sense? Is that one hard or easy? That one should be an easy one. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, number 13. Solutions. What's another word for solutions? It's the same thing as finding the what? The zeros or the x-intercepts. Okay, so what's the first thing you're going to do? Okay, oh yeah, first we got to make it, thank you, good catch, Chauncey. Alright, so first we're going to make it equal 0. So we have to subtract 10 from both sides, so it's going to become x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Now you have to graph it in. So the first thing would be to set equal to 0, then, it says get y by itself, but there's no y there, so that might be confusing. So I like to say make it equal 0.
Wait a second.
What I need to wait a second about?
When it says negative, how come when you subtracted -10 from -3x?
I didn't subtract -10 from -3. I can't because one has an x and one doesn't. So that's why they're both in the problem. Okay, good? So did anybody figure it out yet? X squared minus 3x minus 10, right? So what are the x-intercepts? One's negative, one's positive. What'd you get, Hannah? Did you graph it yet? What'd you get, Lynn? Did you graph it? Why not? Graph it. What'd you get, Johnny? Did you graph it yet? What'd you get for the intercepts? Can you read them off there? Is that what you got? Did you get -2 and 5? Yeah. -2 and 5. Number 14. More of the same. What are the solutions? Put the function into the calculator, find the zeros. Sometimes you can look at it and see the zeros. Sometimes you might have to do the second trace. Not to find the zeros. You got -2 and 0 for which one? For number 14 or number 13? No, it's not -2 and 0. Check your equation. You may have typed it in incorrectly. Yeah, he said he got -2 and 0.
One of the zeros is -2, that's one.
Oh, you mean did you do second calc to find the 0? Or did you go read that from the graph? Okay. Are you telling me you looked at the graph to get a 0, or you got the... Oh, okay. So you went to the table. So you gave me the x and the y. So that's 1 0. -2 0 is a 0, and 5 0 is the other one.
Yeah.
Just the x coordinates. Just the x, okay? So then
You
number,
took it another way.
that's right.
More way.
Which is the way we did it a lot last week, was we went to the table. So thank you, Ajani, for reminding us about the table. Okay, that was awesome. So remember we did that. We used our table function a lot last week, and we went to the table to find out, well, where does y equal 0? That's our x-intercept.
I got -2 and 3.
For this one, did anybody else get that? You did? Sounds good to me. So -2 and 3.
For 14.
-2 and 3 is what I got as well. So that'd be C. Alright, so, and then this last one, okay, we haven't looked at this at all, but I'm confident that you guys can answer this question. Which one of these is quadratic? So when you graph a quadratic function, which shape does it have? Which one looks the most, it's a U, okay? So this is quadratic. It's a U-shaped curve.